Part 2, Equivalent Value. The idea of present value can be extended to take any point in time as the present. For example, we can use the idea of present value to find the value in 3 years' time of a payment due in 10 years' time. We can also use it to find the value in 4 years' time of a payment made 2 years ago, and so on. Equivalent value of a payment made t years before the focal date. The focal date is the comparison date. The equivalent value P of a payment A made t years before the focal date may be found using P equals A times 1 plus I to the power t, as A has been accumulating for t years at an annual rate of compound interest I. This comes directly from the compound interest formula. P may also be called a future value of the payment A. We accumulate or grow a payment made in the past to find its equivalent value at a focal date after the payment. It can be seen a bit more clearly here in this diagram. So our x-axis is t, which is time, and our y-axis is value. So A is the payment. This point here would be the focal date, and P would be the future value. So as we can see, the arrow is going up, so we are accumulating. The payment is accumulating, or it is growing. Part 2, equivalent value of a payment to be made t years after the focal date, the comparison date. The equivalent value P of a payment A to be made t years after the focal date may be found by using P equals A divided by 1 plus I to the power of t, which will be recognized as the present value of a payment A t years in the future. Some refer to P as a present value, although the focal date does not have to be right now. We discount a payment to be made in the future to find its equivalent value, or present value, at a focal date before the payment. Again, it can be seen a little bit more clearly in this diagram. Again, our x-axis is time, and our y-axis is the value. So A is the payment, and P is the future value, and this point here is the focal date. So we can see the arrow this time is going backwards, so we are discounting the value of the payment. Part 3. Equivalent value of a payment is made at the focal date. The equivalent value P of a payment A made at the focal date is just the value of the payment, i.e. P is equal to A. In practice, the equivalent value is often referred to as the present value, even when the focal date is not right now, and even when a payment is accumulated forward. This approach is a very powerful tool for dealing with the more complicated situations we will meet later. So here we have a summary, and you should really learn these off by heart. So equivalent value or present value. So grow forward by t years, we multiply by 1 plus I to the power t. So our formula is P equals A times 1 plus I to the power t. If we're discounting backwards by t years, we divide by 1 plus I to the power t. So our formula is P equals A divided by 1 plus I to the power of t. And if we're at the focal date, then P is equal to A. They're just the same. Net present value, or NPV. We can use the concept of present value to analyse proposed financial arrangements involving payments in and payments out at different times. We do this by calculating the net present value, or NPV, which is the total present value of all payments received minus the present value of all payments made. If the NPV is positive, then the investment is worthwhile, while if the NPV is negative, the investment is not a good idea. Although it is called the net present value, it could more accurately be called the net equivalent value, because any time can be used as the present i.e. the focal date. So it doesn't have to actually be the present date that we're dealing with.